Hey, it's your boy, Chris of the Hickory Algorithm. Hickory Algorithm is a podcast, community hub that features local entrepreneurs, business owners, influential personalities that make Hickory, North Carolina the best. This episode, we have Andrew and Aiden from Kanso. Kanso, am I saying it right? I always mess up people's names.
Kanso,
Kanso, all right.
potato.
But
Yeah. We don't
thanks for.
speak Japanese, unfortunately.
Well, I appreciate you guys for coming on, man.
Yeah.
And one thing I really wanted to talk about is you guys did an incredible job with my website. I
Thank
wanted
you.
to thank you guys, man. Um, but tell the people, what when someone says I want a website, what is that process like for you guys? Because I know what it was like from my end, but how did you guys come up with the process in order to start doing what you guys do?
Oh, that's great. Well, I'll start with this. Well, so everything needs a process. So, a key part of who we are as a business is what we do is we focus on wanting to make sure that your website is in line with your brand. So, what does that mean? We have a phrase we live by, and this is as we take it from someone who's been doing branding for years and years, and we follow his lead, and this we resonate with this because it's a part of our philosophy. But it goes like this: a service or a product without a story is just a commodity, and then a service or a product with a story is a brand. So we take that with that philosophy, and then we'll talk a little bit about our name probably a little bit later about what that means. But what we do is we start with who are you, and then we work from there. So if you just want to interns, what's the process like? There's a form, you get this form and you fill it out, and then we take that and then we communicate your story and your services and to resonate with your target audience is kind of what it is, and then we go live from there. But that's like the dumbed down version. That's the simplified version.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I remember when you guys sent me the form to fill out, I felt like I hit next. Like every time I was filling out something, it was like, okay, I'm done. Next. And you wanted more questions.
Yeah.
But as I started, at first I was frustrated, like, oh, I gotta keep going. But what you just said is exactly what you're doing,
Mhm.
right? Is that all those questions have purpose
Mhm.
because you want to know about and what you said about your story and your brand, and you need something behind it. I mean, that's what we're doing here.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. So I guess my question to you, Andrew, is how many questions are there on that form, dude?
I don't know. There's like 20 some odd questions,
Yeah.
but honestly, there isn't a question on there that doesn't add value
Right.
to try to figure out what you're doing, how you're doing it. What really surprised me before we started making websites is start learning how many other companies out there don't do that. You
Right.
come to them and you're like, "Oh, I'm a car wash and I need a website," and they'll just throw a car wash website together. They don't really get to know your product, your story, um, what makes you tick. And there's a huge difference between a red and blue
Right.
motif and a green and yellow one, as well as all of those are parts of your story.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that definitely separates us from a lot of different agencies out there.
Yeah, and man, it's funny whenever I was thinking about doing my website, and I'd never got one made because I didn't know exactly what I wanted. And when I met you guys, I felt like we had a vibe, like we had a good conversation about who we are and what
Yeah.
we want to represent. I mean, we're here now doing the things that we're passionate about. And I remember sitting with my wife, like these guys are gonna do my website, and she goes, "Oh, you finally like you have someone that you're gonna do?" So yeah, but I'm just gonna do what I want. Like, I'm not gonna do what a marketing agency is gonna do, and I don't wanna be cookie cutter, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And and I really leaned into the things I was passionate about, and what I was always passionate about, I love video game trailers, and I think, a lot of us are gamers and
Yeah.
things like that, and I never forget one of the best gaming trailers I saw, and it just stuck with me as a fan, and I sent it to you. It's so funny to just say it out loud. Is I sent you guys the trailer, and I showed that, hey man, like this is I'm getting goosebumps because like I watched this trailer 100 times with my kids for this game. Like and we
Oh, that's
loved it,
awesome.
and we had it in our house, and I love the
Yeah.
vibrant colors, and I love all the. And when I sent it to you guys, I waited, and I waited for like, hey Chris, like we ain't doing that. Like, what do you think we're doing over
I mean,
here?
that conversation did happen.
We did that.
Well, like that's the hard part is finding that balance of delivering what the client wants
Right.
and giving them what they need. So we went back and forth, and honestly, what really sold me on let's do it this way to represent Chris is because it really did represent who you are. Now, will people go to your website and wonder if you're marketing?
Right.
Probably.
Yep.
But will the people that you gain clients from be the people that you're looking to gain clients as? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we built that.
And it was really fun to
Yeah.
build. I've never built a Neon Tokyo cyberpunk website before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so what I sent him for you gamers out there is a game called Destiny 2. It was around forever. The guys that made, the original Halo, and and they had a shooter game that me and my kids played. I mean, we still play it to this day. I mean, they've had it since they were little, and it was Destiny 2 Lightfall, and it was the neon colors, the yellows, the pinks, the. I mean, you guys did such a good job with what I was gonna do, and I sent it to one of my buddies who I haven't talked to in about 4 years, and I was like, "Hey, man," because we used to play that game together, and I was like, "What do you think?" He was like, why are you a marketing agency doing it? And then he sends me, and then it's like, well, it's what I wanted, right? And then he goes, it's dope, dude. Like, I really like it. He was like, he's like, it fits what you just said. He's like, it fits you.
Yep.
He's like, from hanging out with you, this is what it is. Like, this is what it feels like. And when he said that, I already felt good about the website you guys created. You know what I mean? But when somebody else is like, you know what, that might not be what someone is expecting, but when they meet you and your marketing and your approach and how you do things, you're like, dude, that's awesome. So I want to give you guys props.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And my,
Appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah,
my man
huge.
in Philadelphia was giving you guys some props, man.
I love it.
You guys did a good job.
Excited.
And you guys did another website too, man, that I really, really liked was Jeppetto's
Yeah.
Pizza
Yeah.
Shop.
Yeah.
That was one of those
Thank you.
ones where I looked at, and this was during the process of you guys making my website. And when that came across, and you guys nailed that, like you nailed that. What they were looking, I think the next time I saw you guys, I was like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So whenever just a pizza place, did they have like, my vision was it was clear to me. Did they have a very clear vision, or how did that?
They're actually an interesting story because they had a website company they've had for years. They were paying extra money every month for search engine optimization
Mhm.
to make sure that they would come up on searches. But they had noticed over the last 6 months that their sales had dropped. They weren't getting call-in orders. When they would try to Google themselves or Google pizza near me or things like that, they weren't coming up.
Mhm.
So through a connection, they said, hey, check out these guys. Maybe they can help you. We did an audit on their website, and I found that all of the keywords that were developed for their website had Jeppetto's in it. So it was like Jeppetto's Pizza, Jeppetto's Newton.
Who's searching for that?
Right. Nobody
Someone that's calling Jeppetto's
specifically who
like,
already
that's
knows
very right.
that they exist. So we went through some stuff with them, revamped their whole website, gave them a fresh look, the ability to order on, which they had the ability to order online. But what's really exciting is you never know exactly how it's
Yeah.
going to go. You make it, you build it, all the signs say it's going to do X, Y, Z, and then you make it live. But you got a phone call.
I got a phone call. Yeah, phone calls are fun. Phone calls are fun. You when you get a phone call after you go live with something, you never know. You never know how that's gonna
Right.
go, right? But I got a phone call and it was like, "Hey, I love the website."
Oh, dude.
And we are like, and we went ahead and shot a screenshot. We went back and looked after he said that. I said, Andrew, go ahead and pull up what our the SEO stats are on this. And we were completely blown away.
Yeah.
It was shocking.
But they had also mentioned too, like their inbound call sales had more than doubled.
And so that was what we were going for.
Yeah.
Because really there's, there was a target they were looking for. And there's people in the area know Jeppetto's. I guarantee you there's people watching this podcast that are like, we know Jeppetto's. But there's people also coming to town that don't know Jeppetto's.
Right.
Yeah, they're staying in a hotel, they're passing through.
And so they need to be able to search pizza near me and they need to pop up. And so now they do. And probably by this podcast, They're gonna start
Yeah, shout out to
Absolutely.
Jeppetto's. Go, their food's
Yeah.
amazing.
It is good.
best
It
pizza
is good.
in this
Their
area.
pizza crust is actually outstanding.
Oh, this is fun. This is a little something
Insider
deep
baseball.
rooted. Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is deep rooted. The reason why I don't eat pizza crust, but anyways, I just don't eat pizza crust. But
The
when
bones.
when
Mikey
I
called
eat
them the bones.
the bones,
The
yeah,
bones.
He
they
was
look
I
like
don't eat the
bones.
bone.
I don't
Yeah,
eat the bone.
Like the wing, you don't eat the bone. Sorry, I didn't.
He's eating
That's
wings
good.
wrong.
I'm eating yeah, you're supposed to eat the bone
Yeah.
with the wings. But when you taste a good piece of pizza,
Mm,
and I know it's good when I eat the crust, dude. I eat the
dude,
crust.
that's
I'm just saying. So my life's been changed. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you,
Jeppetto's. So
Neil and Angela.
yeah,
Dude, that's a win across the board.
100%.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, like
they win
everything,
and I
like
win.
just right across the board.
I know it's like 100. Yeah, it's 100%. I love it.
Do you guys? I know the podcast is about you, but now I'm like, they got wings at Jeppetto. I've never had wings at Jeppetto's. Do they have wings at Jeppetto's?
Probably
I don't
could.
know.
Hey Neil, call in.
Yeah, Neil.
Can you
Neil,
call in?
give us a call, dude.
Let's
We
get
need
you
to
on the
know.
podcast.
Let's get you on
Yeah,
the
dude, let's
podcast.
get
We need
you
to get
over
Neil.
there.
You know what? You would love Neil.
I'm gonna
You
meet. I'm
would.
gonna reach out to Neil whenever
Yeah,
I go.
We're gonna make
Neil's
an
awesome.
introduction.
Yeah.
He's so much fun.
I'm like, I got your website, guys, on my podcast. They told me to swing by. Do you have
Yeah.
wings?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Do you eat the
"Bruce."
bones?
Right, right. We'll have a more in-depth conversation.
Yeah.
But you guys said something that I hear more as a marketer about SEO because so many people, you guys already do such a great job with ChatGPT. You did a class in Newton that I attended because, I use things like that. But when you guys say that you use it, I'm going to listen. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that you guys know what the heck you're talking about. But most people that don't know anything about marketing or websites, they're always like SEO. First of all, they're like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then how does that translate? And I know this is going to be a long answer from both of you guys, but how do you explain that to someone? Because all I tell them is, you want to be higher in searches, then this is something that you should probably look into.
Yeah. Andrew has the best explanation.
The
Like, he's
easiest
the-
way to look at it is it's just a bunch of letters that we put together to charge you a lot of money.
Yeah, it's
No.
effective.
No. The best way to look at it is Google or Bing, Yahoo, whatever search engine you use is a library.
Yep.
It's the librarian. And when you walk up to that librarian, you ask them about a book, and then that librarian's going to go and find the best book for you or find you the best books for you. But the only way that they know what books they have is based on they go and they look at every book that exists, so every website, and they look at all the information that's on the website, and that's how they catalog what's out there. The better you are at cataloging your website with the right words and phrases that people will use to search for you, the more likely the librarian will find your book and bring it to you. And there's there's several different ways you do that. There's on-site SEO, so that's what everybody can see. So the way you phrase something, the way you write down something actually on the website, and then there's meta tags, meta titles, meta descriptions, and keywords. And those are on the back end that only the search engines can see, but then it helps them to be able to catalog it. So when people search for marketer, or because you got to put yourself in the position of your soon to be client.
Right. The finish line is what I tell
Right.
my clients. You
Yeah.
start at the finish line and then you build
Yeah.
out.
So if you were your client, what would you be typing in? Like,
Right.
I need somebody to make me a podcast maker.
Right.
Those are the types of things. So
Yeah,
we use some software to help us out with that. We're smart, but we're not like weird geniuses.
Yeah, we're not.
So we
I
use
can't
some
spell
tools.
Geppetto's. You know what I mean?
I can't
keyword,
now
I
that
can't
I've written
spell
it.
Pizza near me.
Pizza
Yeah.
near me got
Yeah.
that all day.
Yeah, I
dude.
got that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
that's essentially how it works.
Yeah, there's another part of that is like along with those keywords, there's been some updates with search engines now, and so if you look at SEO, the best way to kind of if you're gonna try to attempt it, so more than welcome. If someone's watching on this, they want to try and do it themselves. You want to answer questions that your target audience. So the way we look at it is, Chris, who's your target audience? So we're gonna look at it and say, okay, what are the questions they're asking? So we need to have that question and answer the question because that's what they're looking for.
Right.
So that leans in a little bit more. It's a little kind of gives it some more color to what Andrew's saying, but that's kind of the basis.
So if someone knows nothing about SEO, do you have to have SEO for you, like your website? Whoever does your website should be doing your SEO, or do you feel that a third party find somebody that just does SEO? Because what
That's
I
a good
think is
question.
happening now in 2025, 2024 was like to get quick, rich, digital, do everything you can, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, well, none of that stuff worked. And it's like, well, what were you doing? Who were
Right.
you doing it with? How were you doing it?
Right.
Instead of just saying, I need to do this and
Yeah.
throwing money at it, instead of having a plan. And I think a lot of the clients that I have this year have really been like, hey, I spent a lot of money on this, 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 and this. And I was like, well, like how? Like, what was the goal? It's like, well, I need SEO. It's like, that's not,
That's a means.
Yeah,
It's not an end.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've come up with, and I'll have Hayden answer this, but essentially the hierarchy of your digital presence.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Yeah.
Hayden walks you through it, you'll see why we provide the services that we provide and why we don't necessarily recommend you go to separate places.
Right.
But
Yeah. So this we developed this after listening and listening, doing a lot of listening, doing a lot of work for folks and listening. We realized there's a hierarchy to your digital presence. And it starts with this. You have to have it in this order. Like if you don't have it in this order, you're messing up. All right. You can recover. I'll say this, you can recover if you have things out of order, but if you want to have a straight line of kind of
Right.
a good projective successful, end goal, then you need to follow this order. And the order is this. You need to start with your brand. You need to start with your story. You need to start with who you are, start with what you're doing, why you do it, and who your target audience is. That's kind of like 5 prongs there, but you need to start with your brand. If you don't start there, okay, and you start with social media, start with anything else,
Right.
then you're putting the cart before the horse. But first and foremost, it needs to be your brand. Second thing, once you have that down, then you hop online with a website.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't need SEO for anything. You just need to make sure you have a website so that if you do search or when you're out networking or you're doing something, you add validity to your business. 80%, 86% of people who are searching for a business or have a card and look you up online are going to validate whether or not you are a legitimate business, whether or not you have a website.
Right.
So if you don't have a website,
you're missing
you're
out on
missing out
86% of the people.
that are searching. So, and that's a lot of people in the world that are searching,
Right.
right? So that's number 2. Number 3, then we work on your SEO. Because once you know who you are and you're online, you work with your search engine optimization to push you out in front of the people who are really looking for you.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that nailed down, dive into social media.
Yeah.
And you need, and on top of that, I'll add this little caveat. If you just jump into social media and you haven't considered your industry or your target audience, you may be on the wrong platform. So that's very key to understand.
Yeah, and that's funny because I started looking at platforms and things because I'll talk to somebody like, you gotta be on Instagram, you gotta be on, and I'll talk to Andrew and he's like, dude, all I watch is YouTube, like that's it, there's nothing else for me, you know what I mean? But like, it's funny when you go through. So do you tell people age groups, or do you just sort of like tell them where to, like, look, if you're looking for this age, this is where you
To a degree.
It's a little bit of both. One, I don't think a lot of people understand what social media is.
Right.
People immediately, you say social media and immediately are like, oh, Facebook, Instagram, maybe TikTok.
Right.
But social media is Pinterest and Twitch and Reddit and so many other
Substack,
like
I think.
Substack. Yeah, there's so many different places out there that are social media. And let's say that you're going back to gaming. Let's say you're a gamer. You're wasting all your time being on Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
Twitch should be your home. And things like that. So it just depends on what you are, what your industry is, what age you're trying to reach. Obviously, if you're trying to reach anybody under 18, Facebook is a waste of time.
Right.
But even Instagram might be a waste of time. So it just depends on what you want to do. And
Your
we
industry,
we have a free toolkit that we offer on our website. All you have to do is sign up for our newsletter, which is also free. But we have 4 different areas that we touch on: design, ChatGPT, web, and social media. But in there, we have a document in social media, which is Social Media 101. And it goes through the main social media channels, what they're best at aiming for demographics, and how often you should be posting on each one, because it'll be different. With Instagram, you should be posting 2-3 times a day.
Yeah.
Facebook, 3 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because it's funny when I talk to people and I do, you know, social media, Facebook management for them, just because that's what I did in my business as a grocery store. You know, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and Facebook started coming up.
back
That's
in the
just
1900s.
as my kids would say, yeah. But like that's where I cut my teeth. And what I found with Facebook is you're either one of two people. You're either trying to increase your Google search, so you better post at least 12 times a month. Okay? Or you're trying to make a organic kind of Facebook that doesn't overwhelm people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm so quick with the snooze button sometimes to people that I generally care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like somebody comes to me and says, "Well, they'll say you're doing Facebook wrong." It's like, "Well, you have to have a vision, like what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
If it's just raise your SEO and do those things, then you got to post this many times." And do you guys have that on your flyers and things like that for like post this time, or is it just more the age kind of thing?
It
Because
totally
it has to be a conversation at
Yeah,
that point,
it's
right?
Yeah.
you really have to understand your business because
Right.
the difference between how much and how often what you should be doing is
Right.
going to be very different than a pizza place,
Right.
very different than a mechanic shop.
Yeah.
One of the things that is interesting that has been coming out and people have been looking at more is like micro influencers. And I like the idea of it. So you'll have these influencers, like you have Kim Kardashian, right? She has what, millions and millions
Right.
of followers. So with her, if she does an ad, they get like 5 to 10% return.
Mhm.
So she does really well. With a micro influencer, these are people that have gotten really, really big in a certain niche and they have 3,000 followers,
Mhm.
but they can get 95%
Right.
sell rate on those 3,000 followers. So it's more about targeting and understanding your audience and where they are to get a bigger return on your investment. Like you can go spend a ton of money and have Kim Kardashian post it, or
Right.
you can find Susan. We had that with one of our clients, Emporium 23 in Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She found a micro influencer who's I think she's from Winston, but she came in, did a photo shoot, they did some stuff and helped boost her business
That's
And
awesome.
got some sales from it.
and was
What's up?
yeah, it was way more affordable but way more impactful than if she had done some big campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where that's coming from because that's sort of what my kids are telling me that the Hickory algorithm's sort of becoming, where it's like, hey, Dad, you know, you have a pretty good grip on the Hickory market. And it's like, well, I don't see it. Those micro influencers don't see it that way.
Yeah.
So, but I took the information and he said, all right, well, I'm a numbers guy. So like I dive in, but I started noticing that my Facebook stories were getting like, if I attached the link, they had like a 46% attach. Like people were
Yeah.
clicking on the
Yeah.
things. It's like I would have never,
That's a big deal.
you know
That's
what
a
I
big
mean? So
deal.
now every Thursday I have, you know, fresh businesses, and it's like, dude, and they check.
Yes, they do.
And where it's like, you
Absolutely.
think you only have. The thing with social media is people were like, oh, I only have this many followers. I only have
Yeah.
this. And it's like, no. That's your voice. Those people were listening to you.
Yes.
And if you don't flood your message and you just sort of, how I advertise is breadcrumbs, you just leave breadcrumbs for them,
Yeah.
they're going to come to you.
Which I want to touch on what you said there about your voice, and it's very important that that what you're saying matches what you're doing,
Mhm.
and that's your brand. And that
Right.
goes back to like nailing your hierarchy.
Mhm.
So going back to like if you're putting stuff out there on social media, you want to make sure that you're matching what you're saying is who you are as a business. So
Mhm.
sometimes, for instance, it talks about alignment is everything.
Yeah.
So Andrew mentioned earlier, you have your micro influencer who's in your area and whatever, and you may or may not know they exist. But then you have like Kim Kardashian. Everyone's like, well, I get all this. If I could get them, let's say you had all the money in the world, the budget in the world, and you
Right.
could work with someone like Kim Kardashian,
Right.
you might need to evaluate your business or
you're
your values are and say, you know what, maybe Kim Kardashian might not be the best move. Maybe this person over here is.
Right.
He's got a smaller value, but a bigger return. Now you've impacted more people on a more personal level that's actually resonates with your brand.
Right. And then you see that person out there. Like every time there's networking things and,
Yep.
and they're around here. I mean, it's like I just see you guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we see each other out.
Yeah.
So the vision, what you guys are putting out, what I'm putting out, you see it.
Yeah.
Because you're standing in front of the people instead of, you know, a lot of people that I know networking sometimes can be feels like going to the gym, right? Like it's so hard walking through that door sometimes if you're by yourself. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
100%.
And yeah, dude, I think what you guys are doing, I think everything that you're saying and that we've talked about as far as the hierarchy and how to advertise, I feel like we're speaking the same language. You know what I
Same.
mean?
Yeah,
You
100%.
guys did do a great job of mine, and every website that I see that you guys work on, man, you guys put a lot of time and effort into it, man. It looks good, dude.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it looks good.
We take
So-
pride in our quality of work. That's for sure.
So I'm gonna pivot here because we said something before filming that I have to ask Andrew about his skateboarding, dude. What is happening over here, dude?
Full disclosure,
Midlife crisis.
Hayden skateboards.
Really, dude?
No, I don't know why I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking of midlife crises and I'm in my 40s. Most people go get a Corvette and put on New Balance and they've moved on with their life. I have 4 kids. My oldest is 13 and then my youngest is almost 9 and they have taken up skateboarding. So we're at the
Dude.
skate park either here in Hickory or in Morganton, which by the way, they're pretty top-notch skate parks.
It's a nice skate park.
Or Morgan?
So,
Morganton's
Morganton
good.
and Hickory.
It's
They're
short.
both
It's
really good.
It's tight, but it's a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. So kind of reignited. I skated a tiny little bit when I was a kid. But yeah, so I bought a skateboard and I skate with my kids. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm cruising around, but
You don't want to do anything fancy when
Well,
you get.
yeah, I'm
just
too
wanna
old.
Ride.
I'm saying, dude, like I'm thinking, like, dude,
Just get a cruiser.
we don't have time for meniscus tears.
Well,
dude.
before I started, I went to YouTube and I put in old fat skateboarders
Because of course he did.
because I needed to see if I could skateboard too. And I was surprised at how many there are.
Really?
How many are like really good. And then I came across, and I wish I remembered his skateboard company, but there's this one guy, he's like 60 something, 240 pounds.
Wow.
And he's like, I'm sick and tired of people asking me, if you own a skateboard company, why don't you skate? And then he did a video and he's doing kick flips. And he's like, I've been skating since 77. Back off.
Dude, that's
So yeah, fat
Wow.
guys can skate too.
He's a leg.
hashtag.
Hashtag
That's a hashtag that will be used for every single show.
make a
Yeah.
sticker.
Yeah, dude. So how long have you skateboard, man? Have you
well,
done it? Are you
He
as
was
passionate?
pro. He went in the X Games.
Lord
This
have
kid is no, I'm
mercy.
just kidding.
This guy's making stuff up.
He should have
Um,
rolled with it.
you could. I'm not gonna put myself out there like that.
Too bad we're honest.
Yeah. Pretty.
Yeah, right.
So
It's a
no,
bird.
no. I picked up skateboarding. So don't cancel me. I picked up skating back when I was in like middle school, and my
Yeah.
buddy and I, we just like we gotta skate. We gotta skate. So my friend, he lived on like this. Their house was on it was like a loop, it was a giant loop.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a tight curve, and he had a rail, and so I would find every excuse to go over to his house and be like, once he got home from school, I was like, Mom, Dad, drop me off at JJ's house. I've got to go, right? And I've got to practice my board slide. I've got to do this. I know I couldn't. It is the easiest thing. That and a 50-50. So I was like,
But still, dude, I'm not
No.
raining on the parade, dude. I'm
for
impressed.
sure.
Like,
Well, this was. I mean, I was in middle school, so like that was what was
saying
happening.
middle
That's
school,
okay.
Chris ain't even attempting that, dude.
No, I don't attempt anything now. I mean, it's just I had a really bad fall like a year and a half ago, and I was like, "That's
Really?
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad. But we can. That's another story for another time. Another story for another time. But I would make every excuse. I still can't do a kickflip, but I try so hard. But that's where it all started. Was just doing it with friends and being a part of that. There was a skate shop around the corner from my house, back in my hometown, that the guy would actually open his shop up to like the kids who
Yeah.
didn't have anything going on, and he would have them work there and then just hang out at his skate shop and try to give them jobs.
So
he was like a community. He just give back to the
That's
community. And when there's skating has a reputation
Mhm.
for it doesn't have a very good reputation being underground, but
Skateboarding is not a crime.
it is not a
It is not a
no. It's a sport, and it's an activity that can really give people
an outlet.
an outlet. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
you need. And
One-
so
One of the craziest things I think about skateboarding and watching my boys do it is everybody will tell you skateboarding is not a talent-based sport. It is a skill-based sport. And having now gone out to these skate parks now for the last 3 months and going 2-3 times a week, to see these kids out there by themselves attempting something over and over and over and over and over till they hit it. We'll be there for an hour and a half, and I'll see a kid in the corner for the full hour and a half trying to do a kickflip, just trying to get it. Like the consistency that these kids have, I'm like, I don't think there's another sport out there where
You
people
just-
put that much time and effort
Well, you
into
can
what
go.
they're doing.
You can go on. I think it's Prime. Is it Prime? You can go on Prime and watch Tony Hawk's his documentary.
yeah,
And people even said when they saw Tony Hawk get on as a kid, they're like,
Yeah, dude.
he has no skill. That he's this lanky kid. He did nothing no power slides, nothing. He was just like he just practiced and was grind.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. He kind of shocked the skate world back
Huh.
then.
Oh, he
It's
was
definitely worth,
Wait, similar story. Yeah.
it's definitely worth the
Yeah.
watch.
really. I have to
Yeah.
check it out, man. And what you said about trying all the time, all I can think about is the saying I say all the time: is for the love of the game. Like that's
Yeah.
what those kids are out there doing.
And
Love
their
it.
their
Just out
work
there-
ethic
That's
is
what I'm saying. They're out there,
Yeah.
love of the game.
Insane.
They're just gonna keep getting
Yeah.
better.
Don't discount the skater kid.
No, I never discount the skater
He was
kid,
a
man.
skater boy. Oh,
no, that's different. Let's
different. It's a different song.
That's all right. It's all in the same. But speaking of
song.
songs, are all skaters? Do they all listen to the same thing? Like we got to go Blink 182,
No.
right? Like you got to go.
Yeah,
like,
if you're 40 years old.
well, that's just me and you then.
No, so being at the skate park's interesting because people bring their own music.
Yes.
And so you do hear some punk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really hardcore. But I think if you listen to people's headphones, I think there's also a lot of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And then a lot of indie bands. My son we're gonna go see Anoha. They're a new band out of San Antonio, Texas. And it's like a rock, a beach rock punk
That's what's up,
type
dude.
deal.
Interesting, yeah.
So anyway, just listen to anything.
All right.
Anything.
Yeah, it's funny when you said Blink. We were talking about Blink. I met Tom DeLonge.
Wow.
Yeah, I paid when he did his little side project with
Angels and Airwaves.
Loved Angels.
Whoa.
They're one of my favorite
They're
bands.
one of my favorite bands
Yeah.
as well, and because I loved him venturing off from just the same sound. And I went to go see him. I drove to Cleveland from Pittsburgh to go see Tom DeLonge, Angels and Airwaves, and dude, there was nobody there. I got like
That's crazy.
right,
Yeah.
but I went and it was like $60.
I bought every one of their. I love Angels.
Dude, it was $60 to meet him. And I
Wow.
was like,
Done.
I'm doing that,
Yeah.
right? And I tell you what, man, he's exactly who you thought he was.
Wow.
But as an old man, like as our age, right?
Right.
Like he was. Well, how old is Tom DeLonge's?
He's about 5 years older than
Yeah.
us. So
So-
he's almost 50 or just past 50.
But meeting him, like they're, he's waiting in line, and all the punk rockers are like, "Hey, man, like telling jokes and doing the thing."
Yeah.
He got to me, and the reason why I went to go see him was there's a song on their second album of I Empire called Heaven, and my wife, we lost our first pregnancy, and I always wanted to be a dad, and there's a line in that song where he says, "Please stay, don't go. I've got you now." Now, of course, it's on top of this just soaring guitar,
Yeah.
like just you're ready to run through.
And they're really
Wow,
epic. Their
yeah.
sound is filling and
dude.
it feels like an orchestra.
Yeah. And I told him, I legit was like, right after he told some untasteful jokes next door. So I came over, I said, "Hey man, the reason why I wanted to meet you is I wanted to say thank you for the song Heaven." And he looked at me like I had 10 heads, dude. Like he was like, "What do you?" Because Blink 182, he's basically like the Beatles. Like seriously, like
Yeah,
our
that
generation's
generation,
like
yeah.
Beatles. That's legit what Blink is. And I told him that story, and he looked at me and he gave me a hug, and he was like,
That's
"Thank you. As soon as I leave here, I'm gonna text my wife."
Wow.
And he was like, "How's everything going with the pregnancy?" And I was like, "He's a year and a half old," like kind of thing. And he was like, "That's what's up, dude." And then he just left.
That's
And it's like the people that you hear in music, and they tell you not to meet the people,
don't meet your heroes.
But that interaction, I went there. I was like, I'm telling him, like he doesn't know
Regardless.
what he did with his art to impact me
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
help me
Wow.
with something that happened. And man, I tell you what, so I have a soft spot for skater guys, dude, because I feel like
Dude, they're real.
yeah,
They're
dude,
just
like
real
they're
people.
they're real people that are
They
just
wear their heart on the sleeve sometimes, and they're just gonna do the thing.
yeah, man. So speaking of for the love of the game, Andrew, Hayden, thanks for coming on, man. I'm sure I'm gonna see you at the next social event
pleasure.
this
Probably.
week or
Yeah,
something on
probably.
Friday.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
But thank you for the work you did on the website, man. I threw you guys a lot of wild stuff, and you guys, I mean, we talked about it, but man, the vision was there, and I appreciate it, dude.
It was
You're
fun.
welcome. It was fun. It was a fun one to build.
So this is Chris, the Hickory Algorithm. Man, for the love of the game, do something you enjoy. Take it easy.